Greetings, you've landed at the VUC, IP Communications and VoIP community. We would like to thank Simwood.com for their support. Simwood can turn you as a developer into a telco. Our hosted PBX is from onsip.com, and you can go to getonsip.com for a URL people can click to call you. We've been privileged over the last 5 years to be using the best conference bridge on the planet. Yes, I'm talking about zipdx.com, full color, full featured, full HD conference bridge. Our website, vuc.me on the webs, hosted by bluehost.com. And our worldwide local rate dial-ins are from Voxbone.com. And speaking of Voxbone, we've got Dries Plasman with us from Voxbone. Welcome back, Dries.
Hello. Hello,
Great.
everyone.
Good to see you, and we're going to be talking about the hot topic, which the VUC has been exploring for the last year or two. It has to do with WebRTC. You folks have some special news for us, though, and we're looking forward to hearing it. Actually, there's no other business. And we're going to be talking to TruePhone and folks after. We're going to do a second hangout after this, and we'll be talking to James Tagg and James Bodie and Andy and everybody else over there. We'll be doing a whole other dangerous demo. But before that, our main it's like a prize fight, right? Our main event tonight is Voxbone. Take it away, Dries, and let's see what you got to present.
Okay, thanks, Randy. Let me first get started with the screen share, which is always an adventure. Hold on.
I'll show people those numbers for Voxbone. Those are a few of them, and you can go to vuc.me/Voxbone for the other numbers in something like 38 other cities. Maybe even 48 other cities. I'm not sure. I haven't counted.
It should be 55 by now. We just added 3 new countries.
You know what they are offhand?
The new ones, it's Colombia, Turkey, and Malaysia.
Ooh, that's a good one. Excellent. Great.
Voila. My screen should be on.
Perfect.
Okay, let's get started. So today I'm going to present our WebRTC-to-SIP delivery network service. Actually, the service is not new. We announced it in May this year. So since then, we have been in beta with about 20 Voxbone customers. So today, I'm going to explain again what the service is about. And then I'm going to give a couple of use cases that I found interesting to share from the beta. So the first 5 slides are very basic. So people that are into WebRTC can take a 5-minute break, get something to drink, and then come back in 5 minutes. But just as an introduction, so we all know communications are changing at an increasingly rapid pace. In B2C, today OTT communication increases at the rapid pace, and PSTN decreases at the rapid pace. For example, last year, the number of residential phone minutes in the UK decreased by 8%, which is a similar pace as the years before. So in residential communications, the phone line is going down, being replaced by OTTs. So in B2B, we first had IP telephony. Now we're in UC, and B2B communications is where, for Voxbone, we think is the future for WebRTC. So enterprise communications, everybody knows, 20 years ago, we used the PSTN, then we started with IP telephony. We started doing IP telephony first on the LAN, then on the WAN. Now, some enterprises cut the link with the PSTN because they're taking a cloud telephony service, so which is delivered to their company over the internet, and then from the cloud there's a connection to the PSTN. But the main problem of enterprise communications, as we know it, is that every UC feature like HD voice, video, stops at the border of the enterprise. Today, for enterprise-to-enterprise communication, the only thing there is in between two enterprises is the PSTN to communicate. And this is where WebRTC steps in. So the great thing about WebRTC is that it offers the ability to communicate without needing the PSTN or without being on the same enterprise network, or without needing to talk using the same OTT provider. And it supports multimedia communication. So this is where WebRTC is of interest. What is WebRTC? Just to be sure, in 30 seconds, it's a real-time communication API. It's built into browsers, and it's for web developers. And just a practical example, and this is actually a really interesting example. This is the Amazon Mayday service, where if you're on Amazon, you can click to call a support agent over the internet, and you get in touch with Amazon customer service without needing to place a call. This is actually an interesting example because this year on WebRTC Hacks, there was an analysis of Chad Hart who tried to analyze the Mayday service to see if Amazon used the WebRTC for this, and he concluded that if it was not WebRTC, it was something that was really, really close to WebRTC. So, but this is a very interesting, a practical use case of WebRTC where it is, where it works today, where it's valuable today. So, WebRTC, is it fit for all types of communications? No. So, person-to-person communication or peer-to-peer communication, the good thing is that you don't need a plugin in a browser. But where WebRTC is limited is that it doesn't offer any routing and addressing. So if you want to communicate to another person on WebRTC, you need a service provider or a service where both peers connect to. And in addition, the browser is not a good environment for person-to-person calling. So this use case today is not really ready. Two relevant use cases today is the click-to-call. I like Amazon Mayday, where you call the contact center by just clicking from a website, and the click-to-join for conferencing. So the same benefits, no plugin needed, no telephone networks needed. For enterprise communication, a strength of WebRTC is the off-the-shelf encryption and the fact that context information can be passed in the call. So for a contact center use case, you can pass along the identity of the caller if he has logged in on the website, or you can pass on the web page he's in. Same for conferencing. You can pass along the name of the person that joined along with the call. The big disadvantage for this use case today, the thing everybody knows, is that not all browsers are supported. So this remains one of the important showstoppers for WebRTC. Then another problem is that legacy systems of contact centers and conferencing providers don't talk WebRTC, and that still, regarding quality of service and security, there are a couple of concerns, especially with big contact centers, big enterprises. When they start looking into an IP service, security and quality always comes up. So these are good use cases for WebRTC, but still with challenges today. Just on the side, Tsahi from Rock Geek wrote a white paper, a 15-page white paper on the uses of WebRTC in the enterprise. So this elaborates more the click-to-call and the click-to-join use case. So the white paper is available for download from No Jitter still today. So if you're interested in reading more on these use cases, you can just Google WebRTC in the enterprise and then no jitter, and you'll get to the download page. So on the slide before, I stopped with, I said, okay, the click to call and the click to join use cases are the relevant use cases today for WebRTC, but with some challenges. So what are these challenges? Challenge number one is for an enterprise communication service, quality is important. So WebRTC calls are transported over the internet. As we all know, the internet doesn't offer any guarantee on quality, which is important for enterprise communications. So this is a problem number one. Problem number two is it means opening telephony platforms to the internet, which requires protection against telephony denial of service attacks and all kinds of other security threats. And then lastly, as many contact centers and older conferencing service providers have a lot of legacy platforms. For them, being able to support WebRTC is not something that is easy. So it's a time-consuming and a costly project, which many of them consider still it's not for something they want to do to invest time and money in today, especially since WebRTC is still something that evolves quite rapidly. So this is another challenge for the WebRTC for enterprise communications. So at Voxbone, we came up with an answer to these challenges by using our existing assets. So this is the call flow of Voxbone. This is the service we offer. So on the left side, you see a Voxbone telephone number in the United States. So in the United States, Voxbone is a telecommunications service provider. So we connect to the local telephone network in the United States. We collect calls to our numbers. We transport these calls anywhere in the world, wherever the service platform of our customers are located, using a private data network, a global backbone. So, and using that backbone, we deliver our calls in SIP to our customer service platforms. So, and we do the same in 55 countries. What we have added with WebRTC is the ability to call a DID using WebRTC via the internet. We have added something quite unique to that. So we have we have added in our WebRTC SDK a web service that allows to connect using WebRTC to the closest POP of the Voxbone backbone. So the closest POP, meaning the POP with the best internet connection with the WebRTC client. So before setting up the call using Voxbone's WebRTC service, the web service checks where is that closest POP, and then the call is connected, is set up with that closest POP, and then from there it is routed again over our IP, our global IP network, to be delivered to the service platform of our customer anywhere in the world. So what are the benefits of this solution for our customers? First of all, we provide a WebRTC-to-SIP gateway. So this means that the problem I described before, where customers have legacy platforms, meaning platforms that are able to talk SIP, not WebRTC, customers platforms that are able to use the integrate WebRTC. So that's why Voxbone, we deliver WebRTC calls in SIP, in pure SIP, and we are capable to transcode codecs from WebRTC codecs to the usual voice over IP codecs. Benefit number 2 is we provide security. So this, our backbone, Voxbone's backbone is in between the internet and the network, the private network of our customer. So we provide a couple of security mechanisms that prevent against threats. So we only allow calls from DIDs from customers for which we activated WebRTC. Customers need to activate WebRTC per DID. So the service works with a username password-based authentication mechanism. We work with tokens. So we hand out tokens to our WebRTC applications, and these tokens are only valid for 5 minutes. We rate limit to 8 calls per second per source IP. And then we give the customers we have a button that allows our customers, if they would be under attack, that they can disconnect the number temporarily in that case. Benefit number 3 is the quality of service our global backbone provides. So this backbone can be described a bit as an overlay network for real-time communications on top or next to the internet. So this backbone has POPs on 5 continents. So all these POPs are connected to each other by private interconnections. These interconnections are dedicated to real-time communications, so there's no other traffic on them. And every POP on every continent is connected to at least 3 different ISPs. The ISPs we select for every POP are the best ISPs in the region, meaning that ISPs we use in Asia are different than the ISPs we use in the US. So this this backbone ensures that the calls we route internationally do not use the internet, and adds a quality of service to WebRTC communications. And then lastly, adding WebRTC is just a couple of lines. So we provide an SDK, and just with this amount of code, you can add Voxbone's WebRTC service. So this service we have been testing for 6 months now with some of our customers. So I have 3 interesting use cases I can present. So one of our customers is Speak. Speak is a conferencing service provider. So they started with voice over IP conferencing only. Then they came to Voxbone to add DIDs, dial-in numbers for WebRTC. And then they were one of the early adopters of WebRTC. So they were one of the first companies to use WebRTC for click to join. Then when they started looking into an international expansion of their conferencing service, they first came to Voxbone for the DIDs, as they described. So they added DIDs. And then they tested our WebRTC-to-SIP delivery network service to add quality of service for voice over IP-based conferencing calling internationally. Because their service platforms are based in the United States, their conferencing users can be anywhere in the world. So voila, they have added Voxbone's WebRTC-to-SIP delivery service to add quality of service to international click to join. Second use case is a use case that we didn't expect, but it's a quite interesting one. Cuba is a website that facilitates cheap international calling from anywhere in the world to Cuba via a web-based application. So one of the features that they have is they added an address book for people to have their numbers in a web application, the numbers they dial in Cuba. So on Kubayama, they added a click to call button for every number in the address book. So that means that now users from Kubayama can call Cuban numbers just via click to call. So this is a very interesting application, or a very interesting use case, because instead of the usual two-stage dialing for cheap international calling, people can just click to place a call to Cuba, which brings a substantial improvement in user experience. And then a second benefit of this use case is that the reach of the Kubayama service was previously limited to countries where we have DID numbers. So today we offer DID numbers in 55 countries. It's hard to go beyond that because of the fact that DIDs are either not available or illegal. So Kubayama was limited to the 55 countries we offered service in. By using WebRTC, the service becomes global because it's no longer bound to limitations of the PSTN network. So people from anywhere in the world can use the Kubayama site to call to Cuba using click to call. Last case study is a case study about Voxbone. So we introduced click to call ourselves. So many people at Voxbone have click to call signatures. So this is mine, the one you see on the screen now. So this is my click to call email signature. People that receive an email from me can click to call it, to click to call me. When they click it, it opens a web page from where people can call me. So they enter their name, they select the call button, after which my phone rings on my desk, displaying the name of the person that has called through the web page. So what's next at Voxbone? So in Q1, in the coming months, we will introduce HD voice with transcoding from HD voice codecs to all other codecs. So an interesting transcoding will be Opus on the WebRTC side to G722 to enable HD voice also for companies or service providers with legacy equipment. And then we are actively working on many other things in WebRTC, which we plan to roll out in H1. I cannot disclose yet which ones, but you can guess what are good candidates. Voila, that's it. I'm gonna stop the screen share now, and we can spend some time on Q&A.
Perfect. While we're waiting for you to come back, I have a question about the political ramifications of the Cuba thing. First of all, where are these people located? Do we know? Who are providing that service? They're not in Cuba, obviously, right?
No, they are in Canada.
So, actually the question is really simple and it's not even technical. Is there any possibility of a political fallout? Of course, Cuba's in the news now, so it's kind of weird to even that this comes up right now. But the current situation, before any agreements with the United States or whatever happens, is there no resistance to this? Because a lot of countries do try to actively block things. I realize these calls are coming in, not going out. Cuba, if I understood correctly, the internet is extremely restricted there. Mm-hmm. So anything on that level? I mean, I'm a little surprised to even learn that this is possible. So it's great. But
yeah, but this service is like calling Cuba via the PSTN. Right. So from a Cuban perspective, it's just incoming PSTN calls, which is possible. And outside Cuba, where this service is hosted, there's not a lot they can do.
Right. So, and the fact is they don't even see any difference. It's just coming into Cuba. It's coming in. They don't really see any difference, apparently.
No, it's just
It is worth pointing out that Canada has a long history of doing business with Cuba. Canadians take vacations in Cuba regularly. It's a favorite place.
Okay, with that, anyway, that was one of my typical silly questions. But does anybody have any technical questions or any questions at all?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
It's slightly different because most people's implementation of WebRTC, because we're all geeks, I guess, uses we use Opus for everything. But you're talking about introducing transcoding of Opus. So does that mean that you're actually using 7.11 at the moment within WebRTC?
Today, on the WebRTC site, we use the WebRTC codecs. We use Opus, but then we can deliver the call in all kinds of codecs, in any kind of voice codec. We can deliver it in Opus as well, but we can transcode to G711, to G722, to G729, depending on the capabilities of the platform of our customer.
Okay, I'm just slightly confused there, because you said later on that you're going to introduce transcoding capabilities. Are you saying that you already do transcode?
Yes. Until now, our transcoding capabilities were limited, so we limited it to from Opus to G711. So now we have introduced a lot more transcoding possibilities. From Opus speaks to then all the WebRTC codecs, but also G711, G729, and G722. So we enlarged the transcoding capabilities.
Okay, thank you.
So I also have a technical question. How do you decide where the best POP is? How do you measure best, or is that a secret?
Well, it's a secret. If you're interested, I can tell you offline how exactly it works, but not in public.
Okay. I mean, so the question that comes up in my mind is whether what appears to be best from the point of view of maybe GeoDNS or something like that may not actually turn out to be best in terms of routing real-time packets. So you might find that your quote best route was through somebody who did some kind of unpleasant deep packet inspection and filtered out your VoIP packets, whereas some other route that appeared to be less direct might actually be better for VoIP. And given that you're in how many countries it was, 50 countries, you must presumably have seen that at some point.
It's indeed a good remark, and that's why we are considering to improve the mechanism that we currently have, which unfortunately I cannot disclose, but it's indeed a good remark.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? We're watching IRC. I don't see anything at the moment other than a comment on Tim's beard. Anybody have anything further?
Given that I'm not on IRC, I think the least you can do is repeat that, assuming it's printable.
No, it just says Tim goes for the beard again, and it was me typing it.
Oh, okay.
We'll discuss that offline as well. That's kind
of... yes. It can't stay.
Yeah, Tim, if we were plugged into the matrix feed, you see that anyway. So forget the IRC thing, just take the matrix feed. Dries, I've got a quick one. Are you doing anything with messaging at all to go alongside this service?
No. Today it's voice communications. We don't do messaging using WebRTC.
Okay. Thank you.
Any video?
Not yet. Not yet, but that's for sure. Yeah, it's
yeah, is this one of these
a likely extension.
This one of these Steve Jobs will never have apps. I think we're going there.
Yes, indeed. It's clear that our service would deliver most value to applications that are very quality sensitive. So video is indeed a good example of such application. So it's not unlogical that we will move in that direction.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions of any kind? Tim joined the IRC to make sure that nobody's talking about his beard. I think that, Dries, without being crazy about this, I think that Voxbone is one of the biggest names that looms in front of one when you talk about providing DIDs worldwide. I mean, that's the reference name. So whatever direction you pursue will be important, and so we're watching this with interest.
Okay, thanks, Randy. All right.
And I guess one last question? What is the business model? Is it how am I gonna pay for this? Is it metered per connection per minute kind of thing?
No, at Voxbone we don't do per minute. That's something of that makes us unique. The way we charge for our DID service is we charge two things. We charge per DID per month, and we charge for reserved call capacity on our global backbone per month. And this reserved call capacity on our global backbone can be shared by DIDs from all countries. So this is the business model for our DID service. We until now we have the same business model for our WebRTC service. So it's again with reserved call capacity on our global backbone, and this reserved call capacity can be shared with calls originated from DIDs or WebRTC calls.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, it's obvious that if you go to voxbone.com, you will find contacts. We really don't need to do an ad for Voxbone because, I mean, people who need that service are aware of it. And you go to voxbone.com, there are certainly ways to get in touch. But if there's anything specific about the API, by the way, Dries, your email that I received has a little sticker on there saying the new API. You want to say a word about that? I don't know what that means, since I'm not in the
Well, I'll say a word about it. Dries, you're in trouble around here because we found that your old API was rubbish, so we made our own version of it. And then it's only a couple of months after we finished our own super-duper Voxbone API that you produced your super-duper one. So
actually, it's very good that we got our API experts over here. Etienne is going to be the product manager of our API, and I work with the developer community. I've met James and Andy before, and actually I talked to you, James, about our new cool V3 API. And
yeah, I'm looking forward to the V3. In fact, we ought to get our heads together.
Can we hear a word about this, though, guys, since you're here?
Yeah, let's talk about your V3 API. Give us a preview.
So first of all, as you know, V2 was only enabled for SOAP requests, and now one big step we took for the V3 is making developers able to make both SOAP and REST requests, so both XML and JSON. And we added new features. Maybe Etienne, you want to talk about some of the features we added?
Yeah, well, the big new feature package that we have is the regulation. So now with the new API, you're able to enable DIDs from a regulated country, which was something that was a bit tricky to achieve with the previous API. Apart from that, the features list is sort of identical to the previous API, but we really paid a lot of attention to the RESTful side of things. So we try to go as close to a fully RESTful API as we could. And hopefully that would make the development against it a bit easier and more straightforward than with the previous version.
So the form example that you gave for click to call, and in fact I think click to join, just a few lines of JavaScript and HTML. What happens if that hits a browser that doesn't support WebRTC? So if I browse to that in Safari, what does it do?
We expose a function that you can use in the JavaScript, which is the isWebBrowser-supported function. And basically that listens for the type of browser that's being used, and so far we know that Safari is not supporting WebRTC, we know Internet Explorer is not supporting it. So basically you can use this function to do whatever you want. In the case of this click to call, for Voxbone, what we do is just display a page saying that this browser is not supported. Actually, I think I can show it to you with
very quick screen share.
With a quick screen share.
This is what we like. Go off-piste, dangerously.
Yeah. So let me fire up Safari real quick.
We're not getting the screen share yet, Sasha.
No, I'm firing up Safari first.
That's still full of secrets of his GeoIP implementation. So.
Yeah. It would be you, Tim, that asked the question about click to call.
All right, you guys,
your middle name is click to call Tim, isn't it?
Well, it's all dreadfully reminiscent of phonefromhere.com. This stuff only done.
There we go. There we go. We're right.
All right, so in this case, so this is Safari, and basically what we did in this case is just fire up some text saying that the browser is not supported, and then we have some links to download the currently supported browsers.
Oh, that's nicely done.
I think that's excellent.
And you put alternative contact information in there, so you can still make the call, even though you can't make it on WebRTC. That's cool.
Exactly.
Yeah, nicely done.
Another thing we have is using the different events that come up during a call. Let's say the person doesn't pick up the phone, or let's say the person is unavailable. There is an unavailable event, and basically you can use this event function to just fire up something like call someone else. And so what we did, actually, I wonder if I can show you that as well. I'm going to try to call myself.
I love it when somebody gets really confident. Flushed by success first time, they go for
I'm only using your famous style of dangerous demos, James.
I know. It's the only way to do it.
All right. So I think. Can you see?
Really dangerous. You try and ring James.
All right. Can you guys see what I'm doing right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let's say I'm coding myself here, and I'm unavailable. In this case, as you see here, you can call a reception, and basically it's gonna take you to the link of a reception.
So you've got a call forward on busy.
You actually land on an IVR.
Yeah. So what's that then? That's interesting.
Well, that would be the Voxbone IVR, which I think for some reason I don't have the sound enabled in this case. That's kind of weird.
Well, we wouldn't hear it. That's normal.
Yeah, right. Two audio streams are being.
That's nicely done, actually. Very
Yeah,
nice.
it is quite nicely done. I think we can learn things from that. I tell Sasha I'm going to have to go in and spend an hour or two just playing with your stuff.
Yeah, actually, you can. I don't know if you see the chat on the side. You can head over to developer. I'll write it down here. you can head over to developers.voxbone.com/WebRTC. And we have a few cool things. Let me actually walk you through again. I'll just share my screen once again.
Randy, you beat me to it on the IRC.
All right. Hope you can see this.
We can. Yes.
All right. So yeah, this is just a quick introduction with a little click me to try that also lands on Neko IVR, just so you can kind of see what's going on. We have some steps to get you quickly started. We have a few SDKs to help you implement using. So we have Java, Node, and one of our extended community helper built a Flask library. We also have a few sample apps, and I think Andy will kind of recall this one, especially the keyword detection voice chat. I think you've seen that before. And that's something we're really trying to promote, is building different apps using this SDK.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
By the way, Sasha, I have to say you're doing an excellent job with this developer relations thing.
Thank you so much.
That has grown so much since last time I looked at it, and I can tell I'm going to have to invest a little bit of time just going through everything that you've got on there now, because it looks quite interesting.
Yeah, so we have so this is the main documentation page, basically walking you through, everything you need to know. And of course, if you have any question, you can shoot me an email. I'll add my email.
We know where you live, Sasha, don't worry.
All right, so here's my email address in case you need any help implementing the solution. And sorry about that. Yeah, okay. All right, I actually need to head out, guys. So thank you so much for the quick chat.
Brilliant. Good, great to have you, Sasha.
This is
Dries as well.
That's great, and I'm glad you guys were there, and I'm glad you had a chance to explain a little bit about the API. I want to thank you, both of you, and Dries, thank you for joining us. It was great. We're going to be moving on to something else now, but if there's anything, is there anything, Dries, that we've missed in your message that we would need to announce now?
Well, Sasha was the perfect complement for my story, so I think we both said it all. So if you guys have more questions, or you guys would like to try out the service, we'll be at your service. You know how to find us, right? Okay.
I've just got one final question, please.
Underline.
Yeah.
Go ahead, James.
What did you do with all those vests that were left over from Dad's Summit?
Sasha, this one is yours.
Actually, we also had a lot of cans of beans, as you might have recalled. And this is something we worked with Alan and his team to distribute it to local charities over there.
So there are teams of homeless people in Istanbul wandering around with cans of beans and...
Isn't that the perfect marketing stunt?
Yeah, brilliant. Anyway, right, we're done.
Have a good evening.
Bye-bye. And Sasha.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Check out Voxbone.com. They're the ones who supply our local rate dial-ins in all of these 50-plus cities. I'm going to go count those again in a second. But before I do, we're going to move on. So thanks to everybody. And I'm going to close this Hangout. At least I'm going to stop the broadcast. And we'll do a lot of secret stuff, mature audiences only. So end of this Hangout. Move on to the next one in just a moment. Thanks again, everybody, from Voxbone.